Yep, I believe we're recording. We just want to be sensitive to make sure and talk into our mics. Because I had just a little bit of a hard time transcribing the minutes from this meeting because the mics were too far away and I couldn't really hear everybody.
Yes, Elizabeth, is she planning on being here?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
but she's not here now, so,
Okay.
and we're gonna get started, so
Okay.
you wanna run with the ball?
Sure, I
So
can
she
do
gets
that.
here?
Okay. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thursday, February 8th. 6 o'clock, so sharp. I guess we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
A moment of silence if there's no minister here to pray.
Okay, so if we could take a moment to have a moment of silence. That's always very good, isn't it? After such a busy day, and just to kind of take a moment, and we can say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we do roll call?
No,
No.
but we can do approval of minutes.
Okay. So the minutes, I think, are here from our last meeting. If we can kind of take a moment to review those minutes. Okay, and do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second. Okay, approved. Or all, as what do you say?
All in favor.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approved. And if you could turn to your agenda, the next bullet here is familiarize myself. It says public comment. Is this just a comment that needs to be read out loud?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, new business. So the first thing on the agenda is to discuss the amount budgeted in 2024 for Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, Liz asked me about that last month, so I looked it up in the budget. And Parks and Rec operational is $5,000 budgeted, and that's over all of the parks. And the maintenance for the town square is budgeted at $2,060. For Rotary, it's budgeted at $2,575. And I hope I didn't make a mistake here because I have Maple budgeted for $5,000, but I wonder if I just rewrote, the $5,000 for Maple.
Yeah.
So I'll have to double check on that one. So,
Can you run through those again?
yes, the operational fee for Parks and Rec is $5,000
Okay.
budgeted.
All right.
And the maintenance for the town square is $2,060,
Mm-hmm.
and for Rotary is $2,575.
Okay. And that's all, the total budget, everything?
For Parks and Recs.
Yeah. Okay. And then movies in the park. Not sure about the history there.
Yeah, I'm not either. You guys, you're here, you did it last year, didn't you?
Yeah, what's his name? He took the lead on that, he did everything, so we just kind of showed up when he needed help.
When did you get started?
We should get started now.
Yeah,
And kind of plan out like what days we want, where we want to have them, what movies we like to show, and if we want to have anything like after the couples, anything like that. I would think we should get that set now.
So kind of like do a preliminary schedule. Now, we decide that, like all of what you just said?
Yeah,
Okay.
y'all kind of agreed on it, and then he took the lead on it. So if one person can take the lead, and then you have to be there each time, set up and all that kind of good stuff.
So there's a company that we work with that,
Yeah, there should be a.
yeah, I see that.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's information that we got from them
Okay.
so far.
All right. Swank motion.
You said that somebody else on the committee does know how to put it up.
Yeah, but he is no longer here.
Does someone from Public Works set it up?
So
Yes.
in the past, I know that at Columbia Crossing, we set it up and she used to have, but there does exist a binder of instructions on how
Yeah.
to do it.
Okay, because I know Jake was always there, like he did everything,
Okay.
as far as like setting the screen and stuff like that up and plugging everything in, he took care of all that.
Yeah, he trained us how to do it and then we would just do the September one.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice if you could show us how to do that.
Yeah, I would,
I don't know how it goes in other parks, but I know how it gets set up down at River Park.
it might be good to have like one or two people with all of that knowledge, just as a backup in case.
Yeah.
There's,
It's
Yeah.
a little intimidating, it's quite the
Is it?
setup.
Yeah.
What about, even if one of us learns how to set it up, will they bring it? Like, we don't have to pick it up or
I'm not sure.
take it back?
Yeah, Jake always brought it, so
Okay.
I'm not sure where it's housed either. But I like the idea that at least two of us having, always just have it good,
is Jake someone that's on the Parks and Rec committee?
Jake is head of, I want to say roads. Public Works, yes.
Okay.
It must be kept in their building somewhere, the equipment.
I thought the Lions Club played a part in that.
Not anymore.
Not
They gave
anymore.
it over.
Yeah, they used to, but they no longer do it.
Okay.
So this is equipment that belongs to the borough, that we paid for, that we're using. It's not this company's equipment.
Correct.
Right,
I think the Lions Club paid for it and they donated it to us.
right.
And
And then,
that's the company in which movie rights are purchased for the whole thing.
Right.
and we're obligated to go through this catalog and select only from this catalog?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Okay.
Unless you find a different movie distributor.
Yeah, so this is the catalog, it's this year's catalog 2024. So I don't know if we want to like pass it around and pick out what movies in here.
I think the first thing we'll do is plan dates before, so we know how many.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Do they usually go May through September? What's the usual?
I think we did it last year, we did
I'm not sure it's tough because it got rescheduled like 3
many
times.
times, yeah, but I think the original was, June, July, and August.
June, July, and August?
And then
And
we
then-
usually did September in the River Park and that was kind of.
So you just did one, you did September. Okay.
I mean, they're not set, I mean, we can do whatever we want to.
But, I don't know, do you,
It depends on how much the movies cost.
Yeah,
I think that's the big deciding factor maybe.
well, when Crumbie Crossing does the movies, do you buy the movie? Or
No.
we do it all 4
So
times?
1 year we did purchase the movie rights, but since then we, last year the movie was selected for us,
Oh, okay.
which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think we purchased a movie to play in the park for a different event,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't able to happen because of weather, so we just repurposed it in September since we had already had the rights for it, and I believe that was for Wally.
Okay.
So let me just, there's a what do you call these, a URL code, on here that you could, anyone is welcome to scan. But it has, 2024 programming calendar. It says, I'll just read this letter. It says, I'm excited to introduce our latest catalog. This resource is filled with movies, ideas, insights, and more to help you create your best programming year yet. Featuring a balanced mix of new releases and classic content, we tailored the title selection to boost attendance and engagement at your events. This catalog also includes event and promo ideas specific to many of these titles, as well as general ideas for holidays, awareness initiatives, and more. Discover what works, that's trending, and what you can do to enhance your movie events in 2024. And if you're looking for additional assistance heading into the new year, our website features even more planning, promotional programming resources to help you sustain your movie events all year long, blah, blah, blah. So, as far as dates are concerned, do we want to be strategic and sort of piggyback off of other things that are happening in Columbia, or any holidays, or any
I think Fourth Friday, so we can coincide with Fourth Friday.
Fourth Friday?
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know how great of an idea that is. What do you
I
think?
think it worked well.
Really?
And the summer
Yeah.
ones, when they did like, summer in the streets, and it was like carnival games and family oriented, I think they worked well with those ones.
Okay.
Isn't there something going on with the bridge? Isn't there something where the bridge is closed and there's like,
I think that's
Right, more.
2 years from now.
Now you're talking about the bridge bust, where they did it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's up to
That's not,
They
that's,
don't do that anymore.
okay, all right.
Do you think it should be the same? Like if we say fourth Friday, it'll be the fourth Friday in June, July, August, and September? Or did you switch it up? Like sometimes it was the fourth Friday, sometimes it was the second Friday.
Yeah, they just picked dates.
So they didn't.
What time at night do they start? Because if you run into downtown's Fourth Friday and you take all that traffic up the street, is that, I mean, do they correlate with when that Fourth Friday event from the merchants?
well, these are John Children's movies,
They
right?
usually are family movies.
So, I mean, I don't think
It's like the end game.
you wanna wait till 9 o'clock at night to have a movie start.
Yeah, I just didn't know when they generally started.
I think it's, around
Yeah.
dark.
Probably dark.
Dusk.
Dusk.
Yeah, I know, well, last year we only did one that correlated with the Fourth Friday. The
Well,
rest were just
Yeah,
kind
I don't,
It might be kind of neat, like Father's Day is in June, it's on Sunday the 16th. If we wanted to do like something where we can do like a Father's Day weekend, and have it be like kickoff at like the 14th or the 15th, like would be a Friday or a Saturday.
I think they usually did Fridays. Did you wanna do a Saturday?
I think it's up to, who's pulling it off.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah. And if there, I mean, there's no events that happen in any of the parks that we have to worry about on the weekends or anything
Well, we would have to check that once we have,
to confirm those
yeah,
dates.
yeah.
It's fair.
So in June, what is the Friday date, Father's Day weekend?
So the 14th,
The 14th?
which
Okay.
also happens to be Flag Day, I don't know how significant that is, but, so June 14th or,
You call it there, isn't there a movie out called Father's Day? Or
I was
something?
trying to think of
I think
movies
it's a
too.
comedy.
if we could somehow incorporate, like, I don't know, I think fathers sort of get a bad rap. So,
Easy way to spend the holidays.
it would be kind of nice thing to give fathers an
It would
opportunity
be.
to do with kids, and then having, put an emphasis on families.
Like take daddy to movie night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can kind of get a little energy behind that somehow. Like this talks about promotions and ways to promote and market your events, and some creative ideas. Maybe select a movie that's appropriate for Father's Day.
So what does July look like?
So obviously Independence Day, that's always a major holiday. I don't know if we probably want to stay away from that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do
Yeah.
fireworks maybe this
Yeah.
year.
So other than, July's relatively quiet other than the 4th of July, Independence Day. So there's no major holidays, or it's pretty,
You wanna do the fourth Friday in June?
That would be the 26th.
I can take on one, I think they do it
July.
outside one.
July?
July 26th?
Okay.
So we're talking June, we're saying
June
June
14th,
14th.
July 26th,
And then August is nothing,
back to school.
back to school. When is back to school?
That's usually the last week in August before is it Labor Day? Yeah, before Labor Day.
I would love to have something where we could give like backpacks or something like that.
That would be cool.
The thing is, so many people in Columbia do that. You
Do the
know,
backpack. I
oh
know
yeah, they do
Liz
that.
has a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm,
Maybe she can
Yeah.
coordinate something that we can do at the movies.
yeah, do
Yeah.
it at the movie night.
Yeah, we can collaborate with other organizations that have back to school supplies.
Yeah, because I know, since I've been here, we've had, a hard time getting people to even come to the movies, but, you know, we
Yeah.
don't have a very good turnout.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So anything we can. do.
extra reason to come, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Back to school.
That's on, so August 23rd is the Friday before the final week of August. There's a whole, I'm assuming school starts on August 26th, that's a Monday.
Possibly. August 23rd,
Pretty good timing.
is that good? Okay.
I don't know if we want to do it earlier.
Well, if we did the July 26th, I think that's a good space between the two.
Okay. All right, so August 23rd.
Problem with July and August is that's vacation time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think going 4 Fridays might help in July, but
But for many people in Columbia, movie night is their vacation, so.
And that's a whole week in between Labor Day. Like Labor Day is not until September 2nd.
Mhm.
So if we have it on the 23rd, it gives you,
When is, when do they do the basketball tournament over at Nickel?
When are they going to do what?
They have a basketball tournament over there. That's
That-
it.
That's a good time to coordinate. Another thing we have to decide is what park we're gonna have these at
yeah.
each time.
And then
But that's something we'll look at.
maybe you want to decide on September.
yeah, I can double check on our calendar quick and see if I can find a date that works well.
The only thing I can see, generally speaking, in September is, September 15th is Hispanic, the first day of Hispanic week. Hispanic Heritage,
The
When
15th,
is
you said?
the 15th.
That's a Sunday.
That's
That's
September.
Sunday?
It's a Sunday.
Yeah, I won't work.
You don't wanna do
School
Sundays?
night, I don't know.
No, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Maybe Friday and Saturday, but we could still bring the Spanish
Yeah.
heritage into it.
Yeah, you can,
Yeah.
we can kick off Hispanic,
and isn't there a Disney movie that was,
yeah, there is. Yep. We can,
Encanto?
Yep, that's what I was just gonna say.
I bet there might be some like live bands that might want to play before the show.
There's another
before the
one,
movie,
too.
Like Hispanic, maybe we have some Hispanic food or heritage,
Where it's about the
some
Day of the
food
Dead.
trucks or something like that.
yeah,
So this seems way too big,
Yeah.
but honestly, this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, I think we ever had it.
Coco.
Coco.
Try to make it bigger than just a movie night,
I see what you're saying.
you know what I'm
Kurt
saying?
did. Yeah, Kurt had a whole, didn't he have a whole thing at Maple last year?
yeah, we.
But you kept getting rained out.
Yeah, and then, the one year, one year we did like hamburgers, hot dogs, and we just made all that stuff ourselves and.
And it used to be like at the gazebo, they would have, it was music in the park night.
Yeah.
They would
Right.
play music and then show the movie.
Yeah.
So we can coordinate that if we can, but, you know, we have some dates to work with now,
Yeah.
so.
If we want, it looks like Friday, the 20th in September might be a good day down in the river park.
Okay. Okay. So Barbara, do you feel like we should put a location to each of these months and dates?
I don't think so yet. Let's check out the activities that are going on at that time in the park that are already scheduled.
Okay.
And
And then-
what do you guys think?
I think these could be tentative for now.
Yeah. And then we'll, at the next meeting, we can kind of we can decide on the locations in more detail.
Sounds good.
But I think we have sort of a somewhat of a theme, sort of, for each one. I love the back to school idea for August, and we can kind of collaborate. Okay,
And we'll also discuss all of those extra things to go with the movie too,
sure,
and other activities.
yeah. So
Um,
before we tackle the next agenda, we do have some people in here, so I don't want to.
she's gonna speak
Oh,
for the
are
town
you?
square.
Okay,
And this is Eric's wife, who's gonna be on Parks and Rec
okay.
probably next month.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't
Bailing him out, just make that no public.
He
She
owes
wants
you.
that on the record.
Michelle, he owes you now, right?
Oh, Eric.
But,
I'll probably still be here.
do you think you could give us all the website, and in the next month, we can all be looking and come back with movie suggestions?
This website?
Yeah.
Sure, I can forward that.
Okay, so you're gonna give it to, forward it to us?
Yeah, I can do it by email.
Okay, I think that would be good, then we can just look and come back with our ideas next week, or next month.
Okay. Sounds good. I didn't want to leave you waiting.
Thank you for asking.
Okay. So the next item for new business is to discuss an exercise trail, which is near and dear to my heart. I built a career around fitness and exercise, so I'm an exercise physiologist by trade. So I work at a retirement community as a wellness manager. So I manage a wellness center with a pool, with a fitness center. We have an exercise trail in the community. So I'm not sure what this is about, but maybe someone can share some insights.
This was actually Liz wanted this on, and she's not here to, did you guys discuss this at all in the last
I
2
think-
years?
I think I can remember way back, I don't remember, like months and months ago, that we were talking about having a trail that started down, I think,
I was gonna say, I actually recall some talk about an exercise trail that started in the river park.
yes.
Because it would replace a playground, and it seems more appropriate along the riverfront.
You mean
And an
the trail
exercise,
just being there, or?
I'm not sure about the trail
moving?
aspect. I think there were other places and other parks.
Yes.
that
In
this was all the
in
time.
phase 3, they were gonna put a big jungle gym and stuff there for
Thank you,
kids.
Eric.
And instead, they talked about, instead of doing that, doing like one of those fitness trails where you go so far and there's a
Yeah.
station, you
Do
know,
50 push-ups.
whatever it is, you know.
It's a different interactive equipment.
And
Yeah.
I think she was saying about having it different areas in Columbia.
I think that the original idea was that it would connect all the parks.
Yes.
Yes.
Like we would go on this trail and then end up
And then it
being
fills the
connected to all the
need
parks.
in that specific part, which is
Yeah.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of connecting all the parks.
Well, one way I talked about this, since we're talking about connecting parks, that logo there, the light post logo,
Yeah.
we've talked about doing crosswalks that way. And we talked about a grant that, I don't think we can do much with it, it's only like $30,000. But I think it was a full grant, wasn't it? So I suggested taking that crosswalks and going either to the schools or to the parks or both.
So sort of public places in town
Yeah.
that, yeah, to
Maybe we
accentuate
could find
them.
a destination.
I don't understand. You mean signs that show this that we follow?
No, the crosswalks.
Like as you cross the street, it's
How's
a white
how's
dotted
there
line.
only 2 white stripes?
Uh-huh.
Will be 2 white stripes and that logo in it.
But not everywhere, just at the trail that they're following?
From maybe park to park
Mm-hmm.
to schools.
So it would be sort of a designated emblem that would represent the actual trail that leads from one to
Connecting
another.
parks and public places with that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting.
That
Yeah,
would
the only issue is-
identity.
The only issue is 462. We can't do anything down on 462. But
Yeah,
That's
sure.
steep route.
Yeah.
And 441. That's
do a
it.
detour.
We do have permission to do the bicycle, I think, though, in crosswalk, so maybe that could.
Well, the bicycle is mandatory. In fact, that should be green, I think.
The actual bicycle, lane.
Yeah.
I was speaking to was spray painted on, just the,
Oh.
Right, but I'm saying that,
that's mandated on the state routes.
yeah, I believe so.
Shouldn't interfere with
So
that.
that's not a big deal.
Okay.
But that's a great idea, Eric. I like somehow like making it very obvious that sort of, I'm a visual person, so I like that. Where it's
I think it's
really
good
strong,
branding.
Yeah.
identified.
It's good branding.
Yeah. And lets anybody figure out where they're at.
I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to discuss as far as the detail around this, but just maybe brainstorming ideas for now, or?
Well, I guess to get the fullness of why she wanted to speak about it, we would need her input. But I did like Adriana Atencio. She is going to be, what is it down there? Lucky K? What's it called?
Oh,
Commonweal?
Commonweal is going
Yeah.
in the bottom of, is it Lucky K? What is
That'd
it?
be Lazy Cat.
Lazy Cat.
And she, lazy, so they're not lucky, they're just lazy.
We gotta get you out.
It's because of my age, that's what I tell people. But she might be interested in giving some input on this exercise trail.
And what does she do?
Commonweal is a bike shop.
So they're a nonprofit in Lancaster, and they build bikes for youth and do a lot of youth geared programs to teach them how to ride bikes, maintenance bikes, and just sort of harbor that interest in children. So they're going to open in Columbia and the old Lazy K Lounge at the bottom of Locust Street. I believe the aim is this spring. It's going to be a really cool organization to have here in Columbia. And directly across from Let's Roll Bikes, so it's all very fun.
They build their own bike.
They were teaching it like workshops, and they were raising money to, and then the kids get to have those bikes.
Yeah.
So
they do
it's-
volunteering.
Yeah.
That's great. My grandkids are moving in with us, so.
That seems to be a
Everybody should
normal
look them
thing.
up a little bit.
Yeah, so that'd be perfect. Great. Well, I don't know what else, I mean, if anyone else has any ideas. I know I've seen a lot of these fitness trail stations, they don't get used very much. It's a great concept, but practicality, it does result in another thing that requires some maintenance. Now they're pretty durable, and they're built to have minimal maintenance requirements, and they can withstand all kinds of weather. But every once in a while you have to power hose, power spray them down and paint them and stuff. We could get creative. There's a company called Free Harmony or Free Harmony Notes that has outdoor equipment that goes along with fitness equipment, but it's more for recreational purposes. That is like think of like an oversized piano, like kaleidoscope or whatever it's called. And you have these big, like bigger than this.
Like sound gardens.
Yeah.
Sound gardens.
That's what they call them, yes.
So it's like, but it's interactive. And so kids can do it with adults, and it makes noise, and there's all kinds of instruments that are interactive, and it stimulates it's great for kids with autism.
And parks that aren't centered in the community, they're very, very neat. We've traveled and seen some of them, and they can be themed. I've seen one, we were in a bay area, and it was like fish bones.
Yes.
Like they can be themed to fit a space. And also just neat things. I know we talked once at the river park, like how neat would it be to have posts that people can just hang hammocks on? Not that they're being provided. I know we've all had to see or visit somewhere that you can do that. Just like bring your own and hook it up. But yeah, like exercise, recreation-esque.
Yes, right. Yeah. So there's all kinds of creative ideas. I think the word intentional comes to mind because I think we have to have a vision of seeing what could become and then be very intentional with driving that vision of having there be a purpose behind some of the decisions that are made for generations to come. If we want, what's the purpose? What's the goal? Do we want to build community? Do we want to build families? Do we want to build, more recreational opportunities? How do we want to do that? So, I was just thinking, my wife and I were having a conversation. I'm kind of getting a little off topic, but she grew up in Mannheim. She grew up in a lot of places. She moved almost every year, but she graduated high school in Mannheim. I'm originally from Ohio, so I don't know this area. But she always said that she felt like Mannheim, downtown Mannheim, had sort of like a complex because it wasn't as nice as Lidditz, like downtown Lidditz. Like downtown Lidditz had the charm and the trees that were next to the sidewalks, and Mannheim just had sort of like the shops and the asphalt and stuff. It wasn't as charming. Well, somebody had to think of that design. Like those trees and that green space in between the roads and the houses, that just didn't happen on its own. It was intentional. So I think that, how we can picture things, someone has to have that vision to be able to plan, like how to see things. We're talking about it right now, like the connections of this trail and like Eric's idea of using like some kind of like way to connect it for visually. So I guess we can just kind of brainstorm some more around this until we can hear from Liz and what her concept is.
Can I just mention something that I knew has some history is the Keebler Foundation, right? That you came here, the Keebler factory. So one idea could be that this trail has something to do with the Keebler and to bring the name back, the history of that. And then those sound gardens, I forgot they even have those, and I know my grandchildren played in them, they're neat. But you could do like a Keebler theme October around town or something. Because there is, I think that would be cool for kids to have to experience and to see, and their parents them around.
Yeah.
The whole talk of the Keebler Elves reminds me of, what was that place you used to be able to go to, the Gnomes?
Yeah.
We used to take field trips there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing too,
The
like
gnome
the green space, like kids love fairy gardens, like the miniature gardens and that stuff like that could be built into that kind of stuff too. There could be like tree houses, there could be, there's a place in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, that has, I think it's called Castle, but it's called the Castle Park. And there's actually, have you been there? There's like a huge,
Like a fairy tale theme.
Yeah, so it's kind of creative, but they have these fitness stations there too, at that.
I think one of the neatest things that I've seen pop up in parks, it doesn't really have anything to do with fitness or recreation per se, but it seems to engage teens a lot, and I just think it's neat, so I'll share it, is they do charging stations where there's like a wheel or a bike, and it is human-powered charging.
Yeah.
So like it's not a recreation purpose per se, but we have so many teens and people who we need a charge for something. That's very neat. I don't know if it makes sense in any of our parks. Because all of our parks have different uses, but it seems like if we had a visitor park or in a community blended park, that might be a fun one for it.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's neat.
Wish we would have thought of that planning Maple, because they are putting a charging station there.
Well, I guess we can kind of move on. The old business, do we want to skip around and at all, or do
You're
we
the
want
vice
to?
president, do whatever you want.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nora.
Nora, and you're here to talk about,
The town square.
all right, well, why don't we hear from you before we tackle anything else?
All right, thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name's Nora Motter Stark. For those of you who don't know me, which I guess is most of you, I grew up here in Columbia, a lifelong resident of Columbia. And I was on Borough Council years ago with Lori Gerfin, way back in 2000 to 2003. Currently, I serve on the Shade Tree Commission. And also, my husband and I moved back to the house that's at the corner of 2nd Locust Street where I grew up. It's the First National Bank Museum, and we're the crazy ones doing all the restoration work on that building. So I went for Penn State originally for Parks and Recreation, so this is fun to be here and listen to everybody's stories. So I just wanted to talk briefly, I guess, Barbara, if it was okay, I came tonight to talk about a little bit of history about the town square, because I know you have it on here, and there's some talk about doing some work up there. And that's particularly near and dear to me because that was created while I was on Borough Council, like I said, with Lori Gerfin. Mayor Lutz had to start his term a little bit after that, so it's 20 years ago this April where that was actually officially dedicated. So if it's okay with you, I just want to go through that briefly and give you some background. The design and construction began about 2000, 2001, and it was funded in part, as you saw on the plaque, with 1999 PPL Corporation Community Partnership Grant and a 2001 Lancaster County Planning Commission Community Parks Initiative Grant, and also community donations, and then the Borough of Columbia, of course. The project grants were written and secured by the Columbia Downtown Development Corp. It's not in existence right now. Create Columbia is a reiteration of that organization. The Columbia Town Gardeners, I've seen you mention that in maybe some of your notes. That was actually a group that was created back at that time. It was formed of local citizens who were interested in beautifying the streets and parks of Columbia's historic district. The original group had about 32 active members, initial volunteers that were very active, including Mayor Lutz and his wife Kathleen, who are still very active, and my husband Michael and I also as well, like I said, other members of Borough Council at that time. We helped with the landscape design, the construction, the laying of the brick, the walkways, the initial plantings, the watering, the daily care and maintenance to get it up and running. The Columbia Town Gardeners were led by a local Columbia guy. His name was Tom Becker, and he actually worked for the Penn State Horticultural Department over in York County. And also Sue Storm Dancause and her husband Steve. They're lifelong residents also of Columbia, and Sue was a certified master gardener, and her husband Steve was just an amazing workhorse. So they spent a lot of time up there. The complete original drawings and engineer plans for the masonry features, we've retained them and we have them available, so you can see everything that was originally planted, all the construction design, everything there. And we also, I was mentioning, have pictures from the before and after. What was up there originally at that corner was hard to work with. It was not good soil, it was not anything, so it all had to be, dug through and taken care of before we could actually plant anything. It was horrible up there, but it got done. So in 2002, I gave Barbara, the theme was called Snowdrops of Hope. It was a campaign that was launched to create a living memorial planting at the square to commemorate the lives lost on September 11th, 2001. And Angie, right, Angie? Her daughter, along with other Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, different groups, the high school children, all kinds of youth participated in that, and they actually planted 2,902 bulbs in the winter with winter and spring bulbs, and those were meant to resemble or recognize each life that was lost on September 11th. The Columbia Ministerium also joined us in that partnership, so we had all the churches involved here in Columbia, many of the local organizations, the fraternal organizations helped out also. And the bulbs were planted to have drifts of red, white, and blue, and cream and yellow. So that's how they were planted originally. And then there was a remembrance ceremony the first year on September 11th, 2002. So of course, the bulbs were in the ground. It was just, everything was just all dirt at that time. But the next spring, in the spring of 2003, when all those bulbs started blooming and the snowdrops were the first bulbs that start blooming early, even now you might see some of them still up there. They bloomed first, and there was just these waves of the red, white, and blue and yellow throughout pretty much till, the middle of summer. So it was pretty spectacular. And it was also very poignant because it made you realize that each bulb that you saw there was someone who lost their life on September 11th. The Lionhead Fountain, I know there's been discussion about that. That actually was specifically chosen and purchased to be a major focal point of the park with a circular seating around that as a peaceful place to sit. The park was always imagined to be a peaceful respite from the urban environment. So you could eat your lunch there, or you could read a book, or you could just do nothing, but just to have that place. And now it's getting more shaded, and that's what it's meant to feel like. It's meant to feel like you're a little bit sheltered in there, and you have the water, battling the water, and that's just meant to be peaceful. The water also serves as a very valuable source of water for the many birds and wildlife that visit the park. And of course, it's a crucial part of the urban wildlife habitat to have water in an environment like that. And the water also serves to help water the plants and do the maintenance work that needs to be done throughout the year, but especially in the spring and summer. And there was valves are in the ground. They can be turned on and off. There's a special key that opens that box. And I know you were saying about the water bill the other night. Yeah, of course there's water there. And the water company may be able to work with you as far as any bill that has not been paid, which is kind of crazy. It wouldn't be paid, but if that's an issue, I mean, you do need water up there if there's a garden. So that's an important part. It's actually the fountain itself, I know firsthand, it's actually a favorite part of the town square for many of us because the fact, it's right there and we know what it's supposed to do, the fact that it hasn't worked, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it actually was on the front of a cover for one of the local chamber magazines the one year. They featured it in 2022, so that was pretty cool to see that after all those years. The maintenance and landscaping have been issues from the beginning, just because it does need cared for, as do all the parks in Columbia, as you guys are becoming aware of. So that does have to be figured into the budget. It does have to be figured into time. You do have a tremendous group of volunteers who do help between the park rangers and Kathleen and her friend and other people, but there's a lot of people who have done it, but it has to be consistent and has to be budgeted for and has to be put on a schedule. That's part of what goes with it. But that can be done, and I'm confident even at this point after 20 years, I know there's still myself and other people who will be willing to help to keep it going, to check on the fountain. First of all, the fountain does work as far as I know. It's a simple pump. It just does need to be checked. And it has to be checked on a regular basis because it can get clogged up or can run dry, whatever, but you have to go by, if you've ever had a pond or a pool or anything like that, there is a certain amount of, you have to check on it, but it's worth it. It's worth it when it can be done. Someone has to be, and I'm glad to also head that up as far as checking on the pond or checking on the pump. I mean, make sure it's running or not clogged if you decide to retain it and keep it, which I hope you do, but I just want to make sure. And if you're not going to keep it, it does mean something to a lot of us. So to just disregard it or act like it's worthless, it's not to us. So at least let the community have a chance to put it somewhere else or to repurpose it or do something, but it deserves to be then placed somewhere else. But I would still encourage you to keep a water feature there. And I don't know if the borough still, maybe Lori knows, as far as summer workers, back in the day, they used to have some summer help that came in, and some of these heavy lifting jobs, or monotonous jobs that maybe the highway crew didn't have as much time for, or the facilities people. They had some summer workers, students and others that might help. So it's just an idea as far as some of these things, because it can be a lot during the summer depending on what's going on. It's just brief overview I just want to share with you. I mean, glad to help with any of the refreshing of the bulbs. That's what we talked about. The bulbs definitely after 20 years that were planted originally by like the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, like your daughter, they need refreshed. You know, and other places where they look top notch, it's because they change them out every year. So that's the ultimate goal, but at least refreshing them after 20 years is probably, and then we could just do another campaign like we originally did, which I handed out to Barbara, the brochure that was originally created for the Snowdrops of Hope. We had hundreds of people donate for those bulbs, and then what they got was they got an actual card with a person's name who perished on September 11, 2001. So they knew the person that they were getting the bulb in memory of, and also what the variety of the bulb was that was going to be planted for that person. So there's a lot of detail and thought went into that. And then also then they worked with the churches too to make sure the churches shared the information, the schools shared the information, and so it was a very special time. It was, of course, in Columbia, you know, there were challenges at points, but in the end, it worked out. And when it was dedicated, it was a really proud moment for me and a lot of other people. So I just want to make sure you guys knew that. And if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them. I don't know if Lori, you want to add anything, Lori? It was a lot of work, but in the end, I think it just needs a little sprucing up and.
The water in the fountain, that just uses the same water. Right?
Yeah, it's recirculating, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very simple. If you have a fish tank or anything, you know about a pump, it's not complicated. And it was designed to be as easy maintenance as possible for all of us, but particularly, it does need to be checked on.
Nora, I just have a quick question. So, obviously, I know the reason you're here. So how did you hear about this as being on the agenda, and who invited you? Or did you invite yourself?
I asked Barbara, but I listened to the other night, the Borough Council had spoken about it, I saw in their workshop, and then I saw, then tonight it's on the agenda for you to talk about again, taking back what Borough Council had said. So I just contacted Barbara yesterday and said, would you mind if I came just give you a little bit of a history?
Yeah, our agendas are posted for the public.
Sure.
Okay.
I just want to say I commend you for having the interest and for having the heart and the history. It's people like you that this community needs more of.
There's a lot of them. People really do have a big heart here in general. So they're there, and a lot of other new people would help that first time that you never saw before it came out.
And for someone like me who is just new to this community relatively, I don't have the advantage of having all of that history. So this means a lot to me to be able to listen to you, to hear what you've shared. So thank you for being here, for taking time out to fill us in. I think history is very important.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it's something that that can create a lot of pride within a community if more people know about the history. Again, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nora, what would you like to see happen?
I'd just like to see like to be included as far as any future discussions. I'd like to encourage you to include the Shade Tree Commission along with the park rangers in any future discussions about changing any or updating any parks or any of that kind of stuff, because people also have spent, they've dedicated their time and effort to making sure that especially the trees and the different plantings are taken care of without being asked by anybody. They just show up and do that. So just to be included if you go forward making any decisions, and know that you have people who are willing to help and more than happy to help and want to be a part of it.
If we were to decide to replenish the bulbs, can we have access to the original copy of what bulbs were planted where?
Yes, I have all that, and also the Tom Becker, he's now retired, so I know where he lives in Florida, and I had contacted him a year ago about refreshing the bulbs, and he was excited, but now I think that he's retired. I want to check back with him and see, because he was the mastermind between, as far as figuring out how to layer them in there, so it looked it would just, like you said, you got to look at the pictures. It was just a kind of, it gave you chills, kind of, it was so pretty.
So what happened? Is there just like a certain lifespan of the bulbs?
Yeah, they get lost to, squirrels or, just they don't always come up. But like places like in Amsterdam, where they do it, they refresh the bulbs, like I said, every year. So and also we had a woman here who was in charge of all the parks in New York City, helping them to get revitalized. And yeah, she had a team of people who, that was each park, they'd go through and refresh all that stuff each year. So, when it looks good, like I said, it's for a reason. Anyone has a garden knows you gotta put the time in it, and you can't rely, for Kathleen, she's been doing it for a long time, but also other people have too, but she's been there the most, I think.
Yeah.
This discussion makes me think about a lot of people, like, there might be an opportunity at some point for us to honor volunteers like the park rangers, like the Shade Tree Commission, like the volunteers, and try to get to accomplish two things. One is to honor people who volunteered in the past, and to use it as an opportunity to recruit new volunteers.
Mm-hmm. We kind of do that through the Shade Tree Commission. They have an Arbor Day celebration. It's the last Friday in April. And that's going to be down at the Crossings building. And that does a lot of things that you're mentioning, honors the people in the community who have dedicated time to helping with all this, and has the children involved. And just this year, we're going to have just kind of a sneak exclusive thing to let you guys know. We're going to have Trees of Columbia photography contest, and we're going to open it up to the children and let them, and adults too, but mainly trying to get the kids out and have a contest where they can take pictures of their favorite tree or whatever tree has significance to them and submit it for the contest, and then we'll display them and then award prizes. But main thing is just to get them out there looking at the trees and thinking about trees and the natural environment.
And when is Arbor Day?
It's April 26th, Friday, 7 o'clock at the Crossings building down at the River Park.
Is it too late to incorporate the 20-year anniversary of the town square into your activities?
It wouldn't be, because but I think we have a lot this year, but we could do it, at some point, even if it's not.
Maybe 25 years.
Or it could be in the fall. It could be in the fall. In the fall, actually, we could do the replanting of the bulbs.
Okay.
And have like a little ceremony of remembrance of why we're doing this. Why would we do this? Why do we?
So if we decided, which we haven't yet, but if we decided after discussion that we would like to have it be restored to its original beauty, would you and others be willing to run with that decision and make it happen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd be honored to.
All right.
Anyone? Any further?
So I guess, no, I don't think I have any other questions. I think for the committee, we have a lot more to follow up with.
Oh, sure, that's fine, yep, and you know how to get a hold of me. I'm going to share with Barbara what I want to review right now, so, you'll have that just for an outline.
Yeah, actually, this letter that you wrote, like if I do send a letter, I was thinking of that today, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
This would be perfect.
Go ahead, Barbara.
So make sure you send that. Can I
will.
keep this, or these are your originals, right?
Here, I'll give you one.
Okay.
I forgot your whole thing.
And Nora, what's your last name?
It's Stark, S-T-A-R-K.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Okay, so why don't we kind of pause for bullet G, Times Square, because I think the town square discussion still needs to continue. Let's come back to that in a few minutes, but let's talk about something less exciting and more boring, and that being the bylaws. So I'm not sure where we are with that.
Actually, this is going to be a real quick discussion.
Okay.
Because I found out that we are not allowed to change the number of members to our group, and we cannot add alternates.
Okay.
It has to be, we can recommend to council that they do it, but then they have to change codes to be able to do it. So we keep it as, the only thing, it was brought up last month from Hope, that we hadn't really decided on was, we can do this in our bylaws if we want to, is to make it mandatory that someone from the National Heritage always be a voting member of this board. And that's something we didn't really discuss and come up with a decision about.
And that's you, Nick? Okay.
Well, for now, but like in years to come, if we make it mandatory, it would be someone else.
Sure.
It would mean it has to be someone from there.
Yeah.
One of our chairs has to be from there.
The only thing I don't agree with that is,
So we tried to come up with some common ground here with like being an alternate, because if there is some renewed interest in Parks and Recreation, it feels like maybe somebody who lives in this community should be a voting member, and that's where the alternative conversation came from.
well, no, my thought is, I don't know how we mandate another company to supply a person to this board.
It's actually part of our service agreement that we serve on this board.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily agree with it either. I would say that we could put in it, we recommend that one of the seats be filled by.
Well, if the current agreement we have
I think we have
with,
to look at that agreement and see if what SNHA's agreement is with Columbia Borough already mandates that we are a voting member, so I can check on that, and
Okay.
you guys could probably also inquire about a copy
right,
of
I mean, if
that.
that's part of the agreement, because I don't know if that agreement will always stand with Columbia and SNH.
Right.
Because that gets revisited.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So we need to find out what the current agreement is. Well, then why do we have to put anything in our bylaws? If
Right,
it's-
exactly.
Yeah.
Unsure.
Okay, so then let's,
Yeah.
okay, so then next week we'll just sign them. Go ahead, Nora.
I'm sorry, I just have one question, because I thought it was on there, and, other thing I'm wondering, is it a conflict that the borough pays part of the salaries down at the crossings? So is that a conflict of interest to have as a voting member, not that you should be here, I agree with that, but a voting member, is there any conflict there? I don't know if that's been brought up at all. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but that's my thing.
I don't think that might be a question for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'd be a conflict only because this body doesn't make decisions. They only make recommendations.
So you're like the Shade Tree Commission?
Correct.
Okay. All right, that's it, I just,
Plus,
I think they have
I
heavy,
just thought, well, what, don't we pay her salary? Like, isn't that like?
yeah,
Yeah.
I asked that too, and Mark said, no, we don't pay their salary. We give a certain amount. How does that work, Eric? It didn't
We
make
just-
sense to me.
it's kind of like a donation we give.
But you don't have control over where the money goes.
Right.
Okay.
We have a management
But-
agreement. We have an agreement with them to manage,
Right.
not who's gonna be employed, not
We
who's
don't
gonna
technically,
manage.
they're not,
We have a management
they're not
agreement with
employees of
Susquehanna
Columbia Borough.
National Heritage.
But I do agree, if we were making decisions on spending money and stuff, especially if it had to do with River Park, then yeah, I would say, hey, maybe there's a conflict.
Well, she could refuse herself.
Right, but I'm saying, even if, right now, there is no conflict because we don't make a decision, we can only make recommendations.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we brought up maybe the SNHA member could be an alternate. So if there's somebody who could take our place that is a community
Yeah, you're
member
stuck
and
here.
work for us.
You're stuck here.
I understand. But that was our,
Because I found an alternate.
our, sort of solution or Band-Aid in the coming future to foresee that issue.
okay, so then next month I'll just bring them and we'll sign them and they'll be good to go. Sounds good.
All right, so back on Town Square. So there's 3 discussion items on the agenda. Council's decision to accept recommendations of the removal of the fountain, council's approval of approaching the art community about a contest, and then our recommendation to council regarding the repair of the bricks. At this point, I don't know, I feel like we might have been persuaded to go in a whole other direction. Okay.
I mean, do we get to vote on that? Because I personally would love to keep the fountain.
I think they already accepted our recommendation
Okay.
to remove the fountain. However,
Okay.
I think we can also make sure that that fountain gets, we talked about it just discarding it, but you stressed the importance of it to some people in the community. So I think we will make sure it, Borough Council last night.
Was this a workshop?
That's just a work session, nothing was decided.
Oh, you're right.
Right.
Okay.
What's
Well,
wrong
I
with the
asked, should we
fountain?
vote? And they said, no, we recommend it. Remember?
Well, we were told that there was some repairs that were needed to be made to it. There was there's some cracks in the masonry or?
No, that's the bricks. The bricks are going to be replaced. The reason why they wanted to remove the fountain was because it has become a place for homeless people to bathe. And children have been drinking from it.
No.
And so, no, that's not true, or no, that can't happen.
First of all, it hasn't been running, so no one was bathing in it. There's no water running.
Well, that's why they turned it off, I heard. Was because it was being used, they were finding cakes of soap there and.
Well, that, to me, would be, that can be based on a day-to-day basis, but for the general public who enjoys a fountain and quiet and all those things, it doesn't, I don't think you should give something up because one or two people come by and wash their hands, or, one time a kid drank that. Well, I think it would be tempted by that, but I'm saying, over the years, I go by there a lot. I'm not aware, very few, if any. I'm sure there's a few vandalism here and there, but painting has happened in very, very minor. And homeless people have a right to sit in a park, and that's the issue. I know that's come up a number of times.
Well, they didn't say anything about that.
But I know they mentioned Biz Park and making it happen. That's not a reason not to have a park with a fountain or a place that's,
No, it wasn't about the park, it was the fountain.
the fountain.
Like kids were drinking from it and other people were using soap and washing. That
They
was
were
the
actually
issue.
washing their clothes in it.
They were washing their clothes.
No, there's a naked man up there taking a bath.
And I think that just needs to be policed, right?
Yeah.
And tell them to leave. You can't wash your clothes in this fountain, that's not what it's meant for. And I saw 3 women there when I was shopping downtown, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That was in the summertime,
yeah.
and there was 3 women there washing clothes in the fountain.
The question was never not to have the park. They want the park. They want to keep the park. It was the fountain that they thought wanted to be removed.
So when we discussed this at council the other day, the work session, I was under the opinion that this body brought these recommendations to
Yeah,
council.
Angie, you weren't here last month.
Oh,
We did. We voted to recommend.
to remove it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought that
Doesn't everybody have to agree or just
We had a
majority?
quorum.
There's a quorum.
And I thought that we decided we would recommend that the fountain be removed, but put in storage, not discarded. Because
Well,
we did
that was
say,
something we talked about at the work session.
because we did
Yeah.
say that there would be some historic significance that it could be repurposed and reused
Yeah.
somewhere else.
I did bring that up, that at the work session, the general consensus was that it wasn't important and had no historical value, but we can see that it does, yeah.
Obviously.
What would you think of this in place of the fountain? If we had a contest with the art community, and the art community knew the history of it, and they had to develop some type of artwork that embodied the original vision for the fountain and embodied the whole purpose of the town square being built. Like there had to be that connection. What would you think of that?
I mean, I always love art, and I think it goes great with the garden, but, the water feature, I mean, a lot of towns have water features. I mean, I just think for the wildlife habitat and for the peacefulness of the park and what it's meant, I mean, it's a focal point. I mean, that's how it was designed. So to take out the fountain is like, turn out the heart of the whole thing. So I hope you'll reconsider, and whatever issues, like, what's your first name? Michelle saying, it's a policing issue. That's with anything. They're saying that about any of the parks, as far as there can be issues in any park. This is the fountain, that's the point that they have to police a little more, then so be it. But we have, the wildlife, the people, enjoying that sound of the water, just something like that. This adds a whole other element to the urban park that.
I really have a silly question about if someone's bathing or washing their clothes or using soap of any, like I'm just talking chemicals. And how does that affect the pump, the integrity of
Certainly doesn't help the animals and wildlife.
Right, and I'm just gonna say kids who
And it's a
decide
recycled system, so
naturally
it's
will
breaking
put
your
their
pump
hands in water in
filter,
their mouth.
and that water's not getting clean.
Right.
And it's becoming a bacterial issue that I think maybe that's the problem with the fountain is it's a maintenance issue, and that's what it's always been, unfortunately. If we had more volunteers or had more policing or had more upkeep, then this wouldn't even be on this table for the committee, I don't think.
Right, agreed.
I think, I mean, I'm sitting here, I like the fountain, but it's a problem, and it's the only thing there that is a problem. For the borough to maintain, and that's what I mean when I say problem.
How do you get a,
Because
how do you do about it? Yeah.
When was it running last?
It's been a while.
You want that.
And when I heard from, some people in the public works, that seems to be their main complaint about it, is they can't, there's always something going on.
Well, I think anytime when you have water in an urban environment, it's going to attract all kinds of notions, some that we've already talked about. I think that most of the water features that I encounter, they're not left on. They're like, there's an automatic shut off or there's a manual shut off. Somebody comes along, shuts off, and turns it back on. There's a schedule when it's operable, that it can be policed along with the police.
And a dedicated maintenance plan for changing pump filters and things like that, which I think it might have lacked.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily, it's great to hear all of the back and forth. I'm a little unclear as far as like this committee, based on the last meeting, what we voted on, that's already been brought forth to council.
Yeah, and I did ask them before we stopped the discussion, I said, what do we do now, vote? And council president said, no, we're just approving your recommendation. But I guess if we want to bring it for a vote.
Because you're saying that was a working meeting?
It was a work session.
Work session.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity to.
Do you guys want to revisit this, or do you want to stand by your recommendation?
I guess that's the question that needs to be answered.
I mean, I would like to read.
Well, it's.
I'm new to the conversation, I'm
Majority.
doesn't really, I'm okay with moving forward.
We
with the
need
decision
4 for a
we made.
quorum.
I didn't make it, I don't know.
Well, quorum's already sitting here.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a majority vote. 3-2.
A quorum isn't sitting here. We have 6 on our team. We have 6, Liz isn't here.
5 is quorum.
I mean, so we need 4 votes. We need at least 4 people voting to rescind our recommendation.
Now, you need a majority.
No, but
One,
remember
two,
there's
three,
6.
4, 5. It's 5 of us.
But there's 6 on the team. So even if she's not here, we still need the.
Everyone doesn't count, she's not here.
Yeah, Eric, I checked on this. Believe me.
I don't believe you.
You don't?
No.
I did. I checked on this. I asked Mark. I went roundabout with Mark and Heather so many times.
Now,
What is this?
We need 4 to have a meeting. That's the quorum. Inside that 4, the majority wins the vote.
No, that's a whole different viewpoint. That's a whole different viewpoint. What do you think, Laurie?
I knew they were gonna.
Is it in the bylaws? Would it be in the bylaws?
No. No.
Robert's rules.
Our bylaws are,
Okay.
Robert's,
I never heard that take. Never, not from Mark, not from Heather.
well, look at that. Look
But
at,
you could be right.
if you watch C-SPAN, there's 240-some senator, congressmen,
So there's
and
a,
only 100 show up, they still vote.
so there's a quorum to hold the meeting.
You need 4 more
How's
to
it
meeting.
different from last month's meeting when Joanne wasn't here?
Or Angie was.
Well,
meeting went on.
everybody voted to recommend.
Vote, but if there wasn't, your meeting still would have commenced, you still would have had motions and votes.
Mhm.
Just because one person's missing, that doesn't null and void every vote and motion.
Yeah, but we didn't have to worry about the number of votes because everybody voted to recommend it. Now there's 3 recommending. So if there's 6 of us, then there has to be 4.
Now, there's only 5 of us right now.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
majority.
And so there was only 6 that night at the council meeting and 6 people voted.
All right, so then someone needs to put a motion to the table and second it, and we'll go from there.
Um,
I'm not.
So the motion would be, so we're deciding whether to revisit the town square recommendations or stay with the recommendation.
Would someone make a motion to rescind our recommendation for removal of the fountain at the town square?
So I'll make a motion that we rescind our recommendation and then we take it to further discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And we may end up with the same recommendation, but for right now, I think we should take it to further discussion. I wasn't aware of all the history behind it.
Okay,
I knew the part of it, but not the fountain and everything else.
all right. Do we have a second?
So,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, did you get that, Lori?
You could have some help here with this.
I think that's the
Right.
prudent thing to do.
You could
Yeah.
have had anything else with it. That's the only one.
It may feel like we're taking a step backwards, but it's not. It's just making sure that we're thoroughly.
Nothing was gonna happen in the next month or 2 anyway up there. So I'd rather us,
Yeah,
now we have more information, discuss it, learn it.
yeah. And I just, I feel like you being here, Nora, whatever decision's gonna come from this is going to be a decision that respects the history of the town square.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, change is inevitable. You know, we live in a world of change all the time. Whatever changes come around, I think that history, you can't take that history back. That history's still there. And we can try to honor that.
Thank you.
is there a way that we can get like, I don't know, like a list or something that way we know like what exactly the maintenance of it would be?
We can see that. I would love to see
Yeah.
past maintenance, even complaints, track records, anything that they had that we could base a decision on.
Yeah.
And use that tangible information.
And I don't know, Public Works, I mean, have they been involved in maintaining that?
A little bit they have, but not much. And I asked Mark about how much does it cost, and he said there's no way to narrow that down, you know, because of all the work that they do. So we might be able, we should be able to get a list though of all the maintenance that needs to be done.
Yeah. I mean, there's a filter, there's probably a brand or a manufacturer or a name of the filter that we could do some digging and find out, you know, what other maintenance requirements or recommendations. And then, heck, maybe a volunteer can be in charge of, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
somebody that.
Well, we do rainwater systems, so we do pumps and valves and all that stuff, that's our business, so a pump like that is
Oh, okay.
something, you know, definitely we can handle as far as taking care of it, recommending, you know, anything needs to be changed or fixed or whatever, that's our business,
Okay.
that's what we do.
So can you do that and like give us this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you say replacing the pump or maintaining
Let's
it
check
as
it out,
well?
I don't know the.
What kind of
condition
pump it is?
Yeah, what.
Based on the
I haven't
manufacturer.
seen it in years, and we kind of stayed away because all the different people, you know, that were up there and just try to, and also just take a break from it for a little bit, but now that if we're gonna be back involved, we can check it out.
So you're saying that you're gonna do that legwork
Check out the pump.
and then be able to
This is
provide
probably about the
us
pump
with-
and take a closer look at the
Yeah.
fountain and see if we see anything visually that
Okay.
it sticks out.
Okay,
That would be
thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Do you think you could have that for us by next meeting?
Next month,
Next month?
we should be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you this, it's gonna be a hard sell because of the unsanitary conditions there of, you know, people bathing and doing their clothes. and-
Certainly, put a little sign.
So, yeah,
No
whatever
bathing
whatever you
except for
can
birds,
think
or
of.
Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Birds poop in it too, there's squirrels poop in it, they take baths in it, so that's what nature does, but nature has to. Yeah, that's right. We can deal with that, we can find ways.
Yeah, whatever you can think of to come against that argument because it's gonna be a hard sell. I'm just warning you.
I'm used to it.
Okay.
I've been around for a while, so I know, usually, yeah, I know to prepare for anything.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you.
I guess we can table number 2 as well,
Yeah,
because we aren't gonna do that unless we do if the fountain stays, we don't need a
Right.
contest with the art community.
I'm, at this point, I think we can go ahead and talk about Maple and then we can.
Well, we have that, the repair of the bricks,
You want to go ahead?
well, you all have quotes in your packet.
Oh, okay.
I never heard of any of these people, Eric, maybe you did.
Nope,
David Hunsinger,
did a brick mason.
Masonry, Fix Your Bricks, and Long's Excavating Concrete Work.
Immediately, I feel like this might be a conflict,
Why?
because I think the person who runs it used to work for the borough.
Who used to run what?
I think the owner used to work for the borough. Does that constitute as a
I
conflict?
think he still does, actually.
No, he doesn't.
He
He
doesn't?
doesn't.
No, he's a private, independent contractor. He has all the knowledge, but he's on his own now.
Oh, I didn't know.
Which company is this?
That would be Long's.
Oh, no.
And honestly, I don't,
I just, I
I
don't
don't see it as a
understand.
conflict.
Okay.
even if he did, I don't see it as a conflict.
So he's the public works person and he owns his.
No. Jake is public works.
Jake is, yeah.
It's two Jake.
He's the one getting the quotes for us.
Yeah, Public Works said that there was too much work for them to do it.
So can I ask why we would even consider looking at these? And the only reason I ask that is it our job to recommend
I think it is.
a contractor?
I haven't been up there to put my eyes on it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is council's gonna vote anyway.
Yeah.
And if we went there with one,
Isn't it up to them to vote on these guys?
yeah, if I just pick one, don't matter which one, I just pick one and set it up
So we should
there.
submit these to council and.
I would say that's student homework. These are the quotes we got back for repair,
Works for me.
and let them pick it.
Okay. All right.
What's the scope of work that you submitted?
The mortar work, mortar brickwork.
Mortar brickwork throughout on the walls?
Yeah, like the park.
Walls and columns?
Yeah.
Okay. But not the walkway?
No, I don't think there was anything on the walkway.
The walkway, that's dry laid for everything,
It just says walls and columns.
not even what's a little bit chippy, but.
Right.
Yeah, you have to read it. And it's actually meant to be on the slope, so the water drains, and there's a trench that's been put in for the stormwater to go and goes up right in front of the college, so it's in the ground for the stormwater.
All right, so we are on the last old business topic, which is discussion of the forming of a Maple Park Subcommittee ad hoc.
So I thought long and hard about this. And the more I think about it, I'm totally against it.
All of it, or?
Having a subcommittee for Maple Park. If people were really interested, they'd be here.
I mean, just from things that I've heard, that some people were here, and they just felt like they're getting tired, like nothing was getting done, so.
But nothing's gonna get done with the subcommittee either. They're welcome to create a committee on their own, and as long as they follow the law and the rules of the borough, they can do whatever they want. If they want to create cleanup days and clean up, and they want to paint something, come to the borough and ask for permission to paint. They can do whatever they want. They can have festivals, come and request to use. But to create a subcommittee, that's our job. Our job as Parks and Rec is to oversee the parks.
I think I hear what you're saying. If they don't like the bureaucracy, they're just putting themselves in another form of it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I don't really have an opinion much, otherwise I listen to some of these conversations, but that does sound like it's very much that.
You know, and if they really don't want to come here and deal with this, great. You know, I don't care. I'm not saying a committee, but some neighbors get together, appoint somebody to come here, and make a recommendation.
Yeah, they can do, like, I thought of like a focus group, just community members, you know.
But I don't think we as a committee should create this group. I think that if they want to, I mean, honestly, the parks, the River Park.
That's what
committee, they were at one time an ad hoc committee. It's done. The building's built, everything's up, it's done. They continue to meet simply because they want to expand the River Park and stuff. But ultimately, it all comes back to us, because it's our park, and then eventually we'll go to council. So
there's ample opportunity for the community to get involved within.
Plus, there's other groups that provide services. You know, you have Shade
Norris Talk highlighted that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to go down that road, but yeah.
I hear you and I agree with you. And I also heard Barbara at last meeting talk about ways for us to try to grab the attention of the community members. Like, sometimes people just need a nudge. They just need they need dialogue. They need conversation. They need to hear from us as much as we would like to hear from them. You know what I mean? I think we're here, and it's wishful thinking that more people, like these two people, are coming here.
But hold on a second. Now, I understand what you're saying, and we deal with the same thing on council. 6 meetings in a row, we get 3 people, and then all of a sudden, 20 people show up for that next meeting. But Maple Park is no different than the park up on Locust Street, and Nora came in because she had an opinion about something. She's not going to sit on the committee, she's not going to come to every meeting, but this topic she wanted to discuss, so she came in and discussed it. Right. And I think that's really what it needs to be.
I think we can certainly put a bug in like Kurt Edmonds' ear.
I wish he'd come back. But.
Yeah, and just say, you know, if you want to have a neighborhood focus group, go ahead and get it going. And if you can raise some money for the project that we're doing, that'd be great. Anything they needed to bring to our attention, they could.
Right.
But I agree with that. They didn't want it to be government run, and that's what it would end up being. if we did a subcommittee or an ad hoc.
If they step forward on their own to champion, maybe there's ways that we can support them as this committee.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
That's what we can
I mean,
offer.
Nora came in with
Instead of
20
this
people tonight and
structure.
talked about that.
very
And I think they might like that.
Mhm.
I
How-
think
how
it's
many
also that,
people
you know, people like have ownership in that neighborhood park, and so I feel like I have ownership in that park, but I also, Rotary Park disgusted me, and so is the crossings disgusted me, but because you're involved in that, I grew up at Rotary Park, I go down to River Park when it's there, so I think that's also, maybe because we have a little bit more renters and people who feel disconnected from the community, they don't feel the same connection to the parks that other people do, or you have a history. So that's where I don't know, somehow we get, and I know my neighbors don't let their kids go to the park because they're so fearful to let them have their eyesight. And it drives us nuts because, you know, like when we grew up, we went all over Columbia, we were gone for hours, you know, but I know it's different today. So it's also that thing, the parents don't let their kids just go to the park anymore, and that's really sad.
I mean, we have drawings for Maple. Maybe we just create a date and time and go out there with the drawings and make it a public meeting for anybody that wants to look at it or whatever.
We did that.
And that would get people involved.
Yeah, they had a lot of their input. Now, here, come see the plan.
Yeah, the committee say, I don't like this, I don't like this, this is why.
Involved in it, then they'll care about it.
Actually, they're planning a groundbreaking ceremony soon. We don't have the date for it, but that would be a perfect time.
Yes.
Maybe we could have refreshments, invite all the neighbors to it, and, yeah, that'd be good.
I think that's great, to get the community involved, but as far as decision making, I don't, the plan is the plan, it's being.
They put a lot of input into that plan, I believe.
Yeah, so it's not, they're not gonna be putting input into something and expecting that input to be heard and ran with, because it's already a plan that's being worked. You know what I'm saying?
Should be generating excitement
Well,
for it.
I understand what you're saying, but I'll say for the River Park Phase 3, that plan's been in place for 10 years now, and it's been modified.
I hear it. So like everything's sort of, so getting them involved because the park is being built, and it's going to be built as to the specs that's already been agreed to.
Right.
But things evolve all the time.
Right. Right.
And not only that, we want the neighbors to come into their parks.
Yeah.
So
And
let them plan
feel
the
like they belong.
recreations, let them
Right.
plan, let them come to us and say, hey, we would like movie night on this night at Maple.
Right.
And because they came up with the idea,
Right.
so get them to be engaged in what's going
Encourage them
on.
to see the plan that they input on, and they've had chances to see it, but if you're out there in their park, they might
Right.
be more receptive to it.
Yeah, and anytime they're invested in themselves, they're going to be more responsive to it, you know?
I agree. Mhm.
That's important.
And we as a committee aren't, I mean, we supply the parks and rec, but the community, they can, it's their park. If they want to create a basketball league within the park and run with it, like they can organize functions and events, and they want to have a community picnic every Saturday. They can, if they want, whatever.
Yeah.
We're not.
They decide what the experience in the park is.
Right,
and everything's
right. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're not dictating, that's not our job to dictate all of that.
I like that, I'm gonna write that down.
Well, I have to somehow get back to Liz for not being here, because I was
Yes.
not prepared to.
You have her contact information,
All
so.
right.
You did fine, you did fine.
Yeah, you did a good job.
I'll make that motion. We're adjourned.
So I will scan this and email it to everybody. And then, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes? And we have a second.
Okay. All aye.
I favor, aye.
Okay. Next meeting is going to be March 14th.
Later,
Thank you.
I'm in.
Eric, thank you. I'm gonna double check again. They're gonna get sick of hearing from me.
You learn something from me every time I show up.
You know what? Mark and Heather are gonna blow